Disclaimer. This content is published by Global Miranda Miner Group LLC, FZ, a Dubai-based entity. All information is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice or investment solicitation. Crypto trading involves substantial risk and may not be suitable for all individuals. Always do your own research. This material is not intended to market, offer, or promote securities or financial products to residents of the Philippines in compliance with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, of the Philippines.
In Venezuela will be feeling at the moment, knowing that this kind of action has now been taken?
Very, I think. I've been speaking to Venezuelan journalists this evening and journalists based in Venezuela, and quite understandably, they're concerned for themselves, for their families. I was speaking to a colleague of mine who put me on video phone at the time and kept all the lights out. She lives quite close to La Carlota, which is a military airstrip in the very center, really, of Caracas. And she could see what was unfolding literally out of her window as it was happening. And as she was contacting me in Washington with sort of live updates of what was happening, so she was also receiving from across the city, friends and family, and across social media, similar images which were backing up what she was seeing elsewhere in the city. So the sense of a coordinated event was very, very acute. So you can imagine how frightening that is for ordinary people, no matter whether or not they agree with Nicolas Maduro or they oppose him. This is still something that's unfolding in the capital city of a major South American nation. As we've been hearing, we haven't seen anything quite like this, if indeed it does turn out to be what it apparently appears to be, which would be US military action on a Latin American nation. So
all right, Miranda, you're actually listening to Coach Miranda Miner here in our channel, and our topic is about what's the effect of the U.S. bombing Venezuela, and them capturing Maduro, in a report that was published and coming from a tweet that was sent out, none other than Donald Trump himself. He says the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with the U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There's going to be a news conference today at 11 o'clock in the morning at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. Interesting. Let's continue with the news.
Something that's not happened since Panama in 1989.
And Will, as you say, the situation is still unfolding, but give us a sense of the geography and where these explosions were heard, and that they were apparently close to some military bases. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I mentioned La Carlota. That is an important military airstrip, which is sort of right along a highway, really, right very much in the center. But also targeted or apparently affected by these explosions was Fuerte Tiuna. Now, that is the most important military base in Caracas, one of the most important military bases in the country. And the idea of both of those places being affected at the same time, and then the lights going out, electricity being knocked out to a whole series of communities.
So in a quick summary, Miranda, I'd like just to do a quick summary for all of you, for those watching me today. The U.S. has captured Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and launched a large-scale strike against the country. Donald Trump says. Attorney General Pambondi says he has been indicted in New York on drugs and weapons charges and will face the full wrath of the American justice on the American soil in American courts. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio anticipates no further action against Venezuela, according to a Republican senator. Venezuela has declared a national emergency, denouncing extremely serious military aggression. According to some of the eyewitness, My heart was pumping and legs were shaking. An eyewitness in Caracas tells the BBC News footage shows huge plumes of smoke rising over the city. It follows weeks of heightened tension as Trump ramped up pressure on Maduro. This is interesting. So why did they bomb Venezuela? The short and long answer is they're putting pressure for them to be able to capture the Venezuela executive, who is obviously charged on serious cases, no, in the New York court, particularly on weapons and drug charges in the New York court, Camiranda. This is interesting. Let's continue, and we'll be discussing what is the effect to the price of our market prices, Camiranda, including the following. We're going to be discussing the effects to our VIX, their volatility index, and we're going to be discussing the effects on the following assets, including gold, US dollar index, DXY, and your WTI crude oil. Let's go and let's discuss this, Camiranda. One of the measurement we always wanted to do and check on the volatility piece is your VXI. At this particular point, the VXI numbers are not moving. However, we're going to be checking the effects to the volatility on our S&P 500 on the upcoming market open. This already tells you on a massive volatility that can potentially happen on the US market open on Monday. Let's quickly review on our market prices for today. Quickly, Camiranda, let's do this.
A quick review of our top 10 coin prices, fundamentals, and macros brought to us by the Global Miranda Miner Research Group.
All right, since we have no markets, we're going to be looking at the futures market today. The futures market currently is sitting, NASDAQ is actually sitting at negative 25 percentage point. Crude oil is down. Gold is not moving because there's no trading day for gold and silver. But we're going to be looking at the futures. But basically, I want my community to monitor WTI tomorrow, right? We're going to be monitoring that because you don't see much of an effect on the spot market because the spot market is closed on a weekend. Therefore, our eyes are actually all eyes on the futures prices. And come Monday, we're going to be monitoring gold spot, US dollar index, and of course, our WTI crude oil starting tomorrow, Sunday, Camiranda. Particularly, though, on the effects of the global uncertainty, quote unquote, we're going to be looking into the price of Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin currently still fighting very strong as it is currently hovering around $89,000. Currently at $89,967. There were a couple of candles here that were on a downward trend. However, it is currently on a higher low. Nag-bounce na po ito on current 89,336, and we're expecting for the coin to further recover. But let's see first on the effects of the current uncertainty to the price of our assets. For those who are newly tuned in, let's all listen to this, Camiranda.
Around as well as those bases themselves. Obviously, that has a real chilling effect on people watching it happen from their homes. And of course, Caracas is in a basin, it's a valley. So there are people up on the hillsides who can see all of this unfolding. And there's unverified videos of planes going overhead at the same time. So, as you can imagine, all of these things happening and targeted to those key points, as well as an area called La Guaira, which is close to the coast, taking all of these different important military spots together gives it that sense of some form of campaign. But again, it's too early. We need confirmation of a lot of the detail that's coming out, particularly given that social media is such a player in Venezuela at a time like this.
All right. So on that note, let's quickly check on some of the important pieces of information. Why is Venezuela important? According to our research, According to our research, Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of oil. And in fact, they are currently holding one-fifth of the entire world supply of oil. According to the international oil agencies and OPEC data, Venezuela proven oil reserves stand at almost 303 billion barrels, accounting for nearly one-fifth of the global reserve. This places the South American nation ahead of Saudi Arabia, Iran, Canada, and Iraq. So for context, Venezuela is even more luxurious in terms of holding oil reserves better than Saudi, Iran, Canada, and Iraq. The scale of this endowment makes Venezuela a central, if often troubled, player in global energy discussions. And right now, that's exactly what I'm trying to say when I say that we're going to be monitoring the WTI crude oil price, US dollar index, and the gold price, which is obviously one of the always used asset on global uncertainty. The question is, Coach Miranda, what's going to be the effect to the crypto prices and the oil prices? According to my research, there are a couple of analysts who are saying that there's going to be not much of an effect on the oil prices. According to Giovanni Stovuno, a strategist at the Swiss bank UBS, he says, it's too early to make a call. Exports and production from Venezuela came under downward pressure following the U.S. oil tanker blockade, and the risk is that this trend could continue. According to Vardhana Hari, a chief executive of Singapore-based Miranda Insights, said the immediate implications for the oil market are minimal, not much beyond other uptick in the Venezuela risk premium. The U.S. has struck Venezuela and captured its president Nicolas Maduro, who has been taken out of the country, according to the tweet of President Donald J. Trump. So, according to many strategists, experts, etc., they're saying that there could be a continuation of the risk. But according to one of an executive in a Singapore-based Vanda Insights, not much beyond another uptick in the Venezuela risk premium. There's gonna be not much or minimal market impact. Interesting, no? According to, let's just try to read it one more time. The impact to oil prices would not be severe due to the large expected stock builds, but unplanned outages in Venezuela, Russia, and Kazakhstan are mounting, which will chip away at these builds. No, so oil prices edged lower on Friday, the first day of trading in 2026, after logging their worst annual performance in 6 years. So interesting. It's a mixed bag. People don't see much effects to the price of oil. But then again, let's go back to the biggest question for my community. What is the effect, Coach Miranda, to Bitcoin? Let's actually do our technical analysis real quick. Let's do this, Miranda.
The technical analysis for the crypto market traders live with Coach Miranda Miner.
So if you're doing an intraday trading for Bitcoin, you must be observing that Bitcoin has been, creating a good impulse since the past 24 hours, including some of our favorite altcoins. One of them is XRP, who is currently at $2 a piece today, coming from $1.80, for the past 3 days. It has significantly, I would say, pumped, for the past couple of hours. However, if you're still watching our live today, a couple of things for me. Number one, during the Russia and U.S. war, or Russia and Ukraine war rather, This was sometime 2022 of January and February. The price of crypto was used, no, when the SWIFT, no, monetary system was shut down against Russia. Russia used crypto as a means of payment. As a matter of fact, for the banks that were closed and affected in Ukraine, the donations that were collected for Ukraine was collected through crypto. So what does that mean is that crypto must be the beneficiary of any uncertainty on traditional finances. If by any chance there is going to be an announcement, okay, that the monetary systems, traditional monetary systems, cross-border payments supporting Venezuela will be shut down to them, then crypto as a means of payment can be a widely used alternative. That's when we see crypto can potentially further pump. If you see on the headlines that crypto is now used for donations, okay? If you see that, then that can be a potential good optics for crypto. Let me just try to read an article created, no, in 2023 and 2022, no. According to the sources, ayan, tingnan nyo, crypto donations to Ukraine and Russia, right? When there was a war, no, crypto is becoming a big topic discussion. When there was crypto donation in the headlines, that's gonna be when, there's a use case for cryptocurrency, Miranda, right? According even none less than the United Nations Refugee Agency, they even have cryptocurrency donation, no? According to the UN Refugee Agency, they are accepting crypto donations. When there is a time when the traditional money is not working, even traditional volunteer agency are going to accept your crypto donations, Miranda. This is a good optics for the cryptocurrency community. Let's now move on further on the other articles supporting that. According to the Aid for Ukraine website.io, they were accepting crypto payments as well. No, they were accepting crypto payments as well. You're going to notice in some of the articles, Aid for Ukraine donate crypto donations. This is because when they were shutting down, traditional monetary infrastructures, then crypto is a way to go. Now, if Venezuela is being shut down for monetary, which is not yet in the news, I think, then it can have a potential good effect to cryptocurrency because it's going to be one of the use cases of crypto when there is global uncertainty, right? So, one of the things we need to watch out over the next couple of days. So what does this tell us? Is if that news comes out, it's good optics for crypto. Okay, let's just use cryptocurrencies instead of, when you shut down Venezuela in their banking system because they don't want to comply. But this can be a whole different case altogether because, again, Venezuela, the president himself was captured. And Venezuela is actually mourning today. I mean, mourning. They're mourning because their president was captured. Imagine you do that to Philippines. What's going to be happening? What's your reaction to that? I'm asking that question because majority of our viewers are from the Philippines, Miranda. So it's now confirmed. It's confirmed that the Venezuela president is actually captured, and there's going to be a press conference at 11 o'clock in the morning, Mar-a-Lago time, on what's going to be the take of the U.S. government as regards this uncertainty, Miranda. According to the BBC News Live, the U.S. launches strikes on Venezuela, capturing President Maduro and charges him with drug offenses on the New York court. Okay, let's now move on to our final update for you, Camiranda. A quick summary, we're going to be monitoring our VIX, the effect on the volatility index. We're going to be monitoring 3 different asset prices, including gold, US dollar, CFDs on WTI crude oil. We're going to be monitoring this, right? And we're going to be monitoring the futures market as well, including our NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow Jones. Some of our futures numbers are actually moving already. Will the market consider gold? Interesting, huh? Will the market get anxious and uncertain? Therefore, can this cause the price of gold to pump on Monday? Something for you to watch on Monday, especially gold can be traded in your crypto platform. Please look for XAU Tether. XAU Tether, you can actually find them in your in your crypto. And if you don't have any crypto platforms yet and you don't want to get charged on weekends, you can trade gold in your crypto platforms. You can download OKX on the link on the description box of this video if you are outside the Philippines. So you can now anticipate potential gold and enter on gold futures ahead of time. Again, if you are outside the Philippines. Interesting. I'm going to be monitoring the price of these assets. But for me, my overall take with this, Camiranda, is I think there can be a potential hedging for uncertainty. Therefore, gold can potentially continue. Well, we have already seen it pumping because the tension in Venezuela has been starting since December 23. This is not a news. Huh? The only news today is they already bombed Venezuela, right? So, but the tension, the U.S. presence, and that tension has been happening since December 22. Therefore, the gold prices has been pumping and pumping and pumping because of that uncertainty of U.S. being there. The only news here today is that they already bombed Venezuela, right? So the news is, can gold further pump? So let's just quickly check on the technical analysis for gold real quick. Let's quickly go first with Bitcoin, Camiranda. So currently, Bitcoin is forming an impulse after that multi-month breakout. Take a look into that. So you have a breakout starting on the trend line coming from October 6, 2025. Now, there's actually a little bit of consolidation happening, but you already saw an impulse or a breakout, initial breakout here. It tried to create an old resistance. It tried to create a retest of support, but it just bounced on the existing trend line, and it's now creating an impulse and hoping to retest your current resistance here and another resistance here. Bitcoin can become a beneficiary of this. Like what happened on the Russia-Ukraine war, they can be a beneficiary of this, but the market will decide on the Monday trading day. There can be volatility, but you need to remember the volume is thin on the weekend. Therefore, there could be an artificial volatility further as the news will progress. However, gold is another story altogether. When we try to take a look into gold, Camiranda, gold has already tried to create a little bit of an upward channel here, no? And on that particular channel, you have a local resistance somewhere within your 4406. And you have a potential retest of support somewhere within this area. I would like to assume that if your local 4405 resistance is broken, that's a potential another leg up to happen if this particular neckline gets broken, Camiranda, during the next couple of days when the market further opens on a Monday. The market can create a breakout above, $4,000 on a gold price. This can be fueled by uncertainty. This is a potential, right? Another potential on a Monday is that the market doesn't react at all because the market has been pumping since December 23. So this leg up here is caused by uncertainty during December 2022 plus the Santa Claus rally, Camiranda. So this breakdown here is actually a technical support breakdown, price action. And right now, we're actually seeing a potential play on your neckline here if the market creates an acknowledgement of the risk and uncertainty. Another potential fuel to the fire can be the 11 o'clock press conference. Whatever they're going to be saying there can add up to the volatility of the market. For Bitcoin, Miranda, like what I've been trying to say, this can become hopefully an even better story because crypto is a safe haven for uncertainty. Another fuel to the fire is if the market, says, okay, we're going to be opening crypto as a means of donation, or any one that will be on the side of Venezuela says, okay, let's donate to Venezuela using crypto just in case their banks are not working, then that can be an additional plus sign for cryptocurrency. This can be another Black Swan event as well. The market can say, oh, there's uncertainty happening, therefore I don't want to put my positions on Bitcoin, I'd rather choose gold. So what I'm trying to say here, Miranda, is that this particular weekend event can be a multifaceted event. It will depend on how the market will process it. But it can be positive for both crypto and gold overall. All right, you're still tuning to Coach Miranda Miner. I'm based here in the Philippines, so I'm going to be in London next week. Hoping to see you there in London, Miranda. Sorry, I'm going to be in Dubai next week, and I'm flying to London after 30 days. This live is actually to further discuss what's the effect of the breaking news. U.S. ordered the Venezuela strike, and there was already a bombing that has happened, according to the news outlet BBC.
And as you say, these explosions come at a time of heightened tension and angst between the US and Venezuela. Washington accusing Venezuela of allegedly carrying drugs on its boats. Talk us through kind of how much of a build-up there has been over recent months that's got us to this really delicate point.
Well, it's the biggest US military build-up in the Americas since the Cold War, essentially. So that gives it that context. It's huge, and it has been for weeks on end. It's been a very, very significant military naval build-up. At one point, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said, we move military assets all over the world. It's, why do people go so mad when we do it in the Americas? Well, the answer is, of course, because it's the Americas, because it's the Western Hemisphere, because it's Latin America. That alone makes this very, very different.
All right. So let me just wrap up this quick live by saying we are done discussing all the potential. We're going to be monitoring tomorrow your VIX. We're going to be monitoring today our Bitcoin price, and we're going to be monitoring the gold prices. Do not also forget, we're going to be monitoring the WTI crude price, and we're going to be monitoring our DXY, or our dollar strength index. As at this point, the price of our futures, the price of our cryptocurrency are seeing some local upticks. We're going to be monitoring that. But the most special one is going to be monitoring our fever gauge, our uncertainty gauge. I'm not necessarily worried about this. In fact, I am excited because I'm hoping this can be a potential effect. I'm not saying I'm happy of the issue here, but I'm talking about I'm happy because of the potential effect of cryptocurrency overall. If you're your first time watching Coach Miranda, I will appreciate if you can click on the subscribe button so we can now continue to reach more people across the world. This is Coach Miranda. I love you 3000. Salamat po.
Subscribe, like, follow, and share. Sige na please, Ka Miranda.